Profit. Today we are joined by Aadit Palicha, who is the co-founder and CEO of Zepto, is joining us now. Aadit, pleasure having you on NDTV Profit. My first question to you is, with respect to the budget, of course, huge boost for the consumption. What were your expectations? Did you expect this boost to come in? And considering that the boost has already come in, how do you, plan to leverage this?
Yeah, absolutely. No, firstly, it's wonderful to be here. And I think this, budget was a windfall for, Zepto and for, consumer internet and quick commerce. I think, from our perspective, our consumer base is primarily in that, 6 to 12 LPA bucket. We've seen at least, a large percentage of our base since day one has come from there. And, as you get a few thousand extra rupees of savings per month that come up as a result of this, big tax, this tax break for, for the middle class. I think where this, ends up going in is going to be discretionary. The, best place to, the best place to get day-to-day discretionary products, whether it's better prices, better quality, better service, is quick commerce platforms like Zepto. So, we're excited. I mean, we're already growing fast. I think this is just going to accelerate that growth. So that's how we think about it.
Right. Aadit, let's break down certain things, because segments like grocery were already, receiving a lot of traction considering the way quick commerce has picked up. But now that, as you rightly mentioned, there's more money in the hands of a common man, discretionary spending will go up. That means for you, big ticket size items will also see a boost in sales. So how are you planning to leverage this? You might have some strategy in place. And how does this help you overall? Will it aid your margins, your top line, bottom line? How does it help you?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I think the way that this helps us is, one, I think just the ARPU that we have on the platform, right? The spend per customer per month.
Right.
I think we expect like a relatively small tick up there, but still meaningful, right? Because that metric is the most sensitive to, customer retention, most sensitive to, the CLTV to CAC that we get, or the lifetime value we get for every user that we acquire. And so our average revenue per user, we think, is going to tick up, which means that every rupee we spend on customer acquisition is going to give us more and more, compounding top line. And, because we have a little bit more compounding top line, I think it's going to help us, reduce, I think it's just going to help us reduce customer acquisition costs over the next 6 months, which anyway was the main plan. What I would also say is that, we've got, features like Super Saver that customers are adopting. We've been able to reduce our prices structurally. And when you have a few thousand extra rupees and you're looking for the best bang for your buck, I think you're going to come to a platform like Zepto, because we're objectively giving, good prices. And, I think that's a function of, obviously the structural supply chain innovation that we've built over the past 12 months as a platform. But now I think it's just going to become more and more in the limelight. We're already seeing today, the payday sales that we run when people's, salaries get credited, they already have a big response from customers. I think that's going to get even more traction as we accelerate.
Right. One more aspect when it comes to the quick commerce space, the competition is tightening every day. There are 3 major platforms running the quick commerce space right now. And, it's a tough competition. The demand, I'm sure, is very high, but it's a tough competition space. How are you viewing the competition, and what do you expect? How do you think that you will have an upper hand over the other 2 competitors that are in the listed space and have, a larger presence?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think, from our perspective, we've, grown pretty rapidly, right? We've grown from 1 billion to 3 billion in 8 months. We're the fastest growing consumer company in India right now. And, I think from our perspective, we're less competition oriented genuinely. We are, in this position where we're focused on bottoms up execution excellence, the right capital allocation, the right store launches, driving operating leverage in our business, even as we're expanding rapidly, right? So even as we've launched, we've gone from, 350 stores 6 to 9 months ago to today we're over 900 stores across the country, right? And even as we've launched new cities and new stores, our ambition has been, to keep driving operating leverage in the business. So let's say improving ad revenue as a percentage of sales, growing the share of new categories, right? So electronics, apparel, general merchandise, beauty and cosmetics, they've 6x on the platform, right? They're doing thousands of crores of sales today. They were barely existent, 3 quarters ago. And so, new category share is going up, ad revenue is going up. We're seeing sort of our average order values have also grown by quite a bit over the past 9 months. And we're building out input operating leverage in our cost structures, right? Whether it's back-end automation in our fresh fruits and vegetable supply chains or in our FMCG supply chains, whether it's better forecasting accuracies to improve, last mile manpower utilization and reduce, perishable wastage. All of these key tracks of operating leverage with aggressive expansion, I think is the right combination of ensuring at least Zepto's success in the future, right? And that's pretty much what we've been indexed on. So I think if we execute well bottoms up, we keep driving value in the business, we keep passing on that value back to customers, and we keep innovating on selection, we keep innovating on pricing, we keep innovating on speed, and we keep improving the profitability levers that we have. Then I think what we need to keep doing in the interim is just expand and keep growing. So net, I think long story short, competition will always be there. The space is exciting, but I think we've executed well historically. If we continue to execute well, I think we'll continue to be one of the winners in the space.
Right, I'm sure about that, Adit. In terms of the targets, because as you said, you've grown from 350 to 900 stores right now. Going ahead, let's say 1 year down the line, 1.5 year down the line, what do the targets look like in terms of revenue, in terms of store additions, as well as your bottom line? Where does it stand right now, and where will it go, let's say 1 year down the line?
Absolutely. So look, I'm under constraints to speak with a high degree of specificity on future statements, right? And so I won't be able to give exact numbers and targets. Although as a company, Zepto is very number oriented. We're very we're very focused on hitting very specific targets.
Right.
But we unfortunately have restrictions that we have to adhere to. But what I can say is what I've already said publicly, which is the following, right? One, we do expect to hit full EBITDA and operating cash flow break even before the end of the next fiscal year,
Okay.
right? And so, that's one thing. And even as we speak, I know we're talking about the budget today, but month on month, our cash burn is already reducing, pretty meaningfully, and we see a good path towards having a strong profitability story going into a public listing, hopefully in the short term, right? And at the same time, we have grown the business 200% plus year on year. Makes us 200% plus in the past 8 months, makes us the fastest growing consumer company in the country at this scale by far. And we want to, retain a good growth story as well. And so I think our, simple thought process is, we have, to push on profitability, and that's what we've been doing. And now we're moving towards the targets that I've already laid out publicly a few months ago.
Right. Adit, when I was, personally using Zepto, I realized that, for a thing that I was like kind of thinking that, I'll have to wait for, this thing to come by for 2 days. I was just amused by the way the product additions have taken place in Zepto, okay? Everything under the roof is probably now available on these quick commerce platforms. What do you think is still pending? What more additions are you planning to make when it comes to your, product diversification in terms of portfolio?
Absolutely. And I'm glad to hear that you're using Zepto and you're finding more and more selection, and that's what gets me excited, right? Less about the financial, more about the customer, right? At the end of the day, to give you a sense, right? We've gone from 3 quarters ago, we barely had electronics, apparel, general merchandise, and beauty cosmetic products on the platform. Without exaggeration, we've already gone from almost zero a few quarters ago to today. It's doing thousands of crores of run rate, mainly because the consumer demand for these products have overshot our expectations. Electronics, for example, is already doing. It will hit $100 million run rate pretty soon, and that's that for us is an indicator that there's a lot more use cases that customers are looking for in quick commerce. And the best part about these use cases is that they're a lot more profitable than FMCG, right? The gross margin you make unit is 2x to 3x higher. And so there are more categories that we're going to focus on. Expect to see, a deep push in general merchandise categories, like, further deeper pushes in places like toys, places like home needs, automotive care. You're going to find, us to, deep diving there. You're also going to find us in apparel, surprisingly, right? We're seeing a good uptake of apparel. So we're launching Puma, we're launching Adidas soon. You're going to see us also in cosmetics, right?
Right.
With the brands that we've already launched, we're planning to go onto the premium end there. So you'll see big pushes on all those three categories in 2025.
All right. Quickly on the expansion part, you're right now present in big cities, mostly tier 1 cities. What are your plans with respect to going to tier 2 and tier 3 cities?
Yeah, we've already expanded into dozens of cities over the past 2 quarters. And yeah, I mean, I think we're pretty much already live in 75 cities across the country, and that includes Vizag, Kozhikode, Nasik, Kota, pretty much across the belt, and we've done it very quickly. Right? I think investors are surprised at how fast we were able to expand, but we were able to do it. And now I think for the time being we're growing pretty rapidly into these markets. Right? We've already grown to $3 billion of GOV. I think we can continue to expand into that, but net, right now, top 75 cities for the foreseeable future are going to be the big growth drivers.
Perfect. Well, all the best for that, Aadit, and thank you so much for giving us all of those insights, and thank you so much for taking our time and speaking with us at NDTV Profit.